reproducing by producing offsprings. Okay, and that condition is known as, what is that? No.
Sexual reproduction.
Giving birth to the young ones known as? Viviparous. Okay, viviparous nothing but the organisms give they give young birth to the young ones, and that is they are unisexual, like male and the female gametes are presented separately. So, they are called as unisexual. Okay. Now, let us see about the reproduction system. And human beings show a prominent sexual dimorphism with male and female differ from each other, and by a number of what? Primary and secondary sex or characters. And the primary sex characters are those which present in both male and female, and that is like example external genitalia. And whereas the secondary characters like traits like thick facial hair, low pitch voice in males, and whereas in females it is well developed mammary glands and high pitch voice. Now, let us see the primary and secondary sex organs. The primary, these produce gametes and the sex hormones, but whereas secondary, this do not produce any gametes or sex hormones, but an important role, important organ in the role, plays an important role in during what? Yes, okay. Now, let us see about the male reproductive system and the primary sex organs. Which is the primary sex organs in male?
Testes.
Yeah, testes. And these are the male gonads, that is the site where the male gametes or sperms are made. And a pair of testes is situated outside the abdominal cavity with the scrotum. And what is a scrotum? It is a pouch-like structure of a pigmented skin rising from the lower abdominal wall. And the male reproductive system is located where? Yeah, pelvic region, pelvis region. Okay. And the next is semi-inferior tubule. It is a functional unit of testis in which sperms are generated. And there are serotoli cells and male germ cells. Serotoli cells are called as what? Otherwise known as? Nurse cells, and whereas the male cells are known as spermatogenia. And the region outside the semi-inferior tubules called the interstitial space that contains the small blood vessels and the masses of cells called as what? Leydig cells. Okay, and let us see the secondary sex organs, and the first one is accessory duct system. What does accessory duct system contain? It store and transport the sperm from testes to outside through urethra, and it also includes tubuli recti and recti testis and vasa effervescens and then epididymis, vas deferens and urethra. And the sperm undergoes physiological maturation. They go a maturation, and which leads to a increased motility and a fertilizing capacity is very high in them. And after they pass down to the tail of the epididymis, where they stay for a short period of time and then enters into the vas deferens. And the vas deferens ascends to the abdomen and loops over the urinary. After vas deferens, they enter into which part? Urinary bladder, and then the urethra carries urine from the bladder as well as the sperms secretion from the cowpus and the prostate gland. And the next is what? Accessory glands. Accessory glands include prostate glands, seminal vesicles and bulbourethral corpus gland. Yes. And what is a prostate gland and where it is located? Yes, above, yeah, correct. And it secretes a milky and a slight alkaline fluid which contains lipids, enzymes and citric acids, and it is released during the ejaculation and helps to neutralize the acidic medium of vagina and making sperms more active to swim. And the next is seminal vesicle. Where is seminal vesicle? Is top of, above prostate gland. They secrete a mucus and a water and fluid that contains fructose. What is fructose?
Act as an energy source of
Yeah, but what is a fructose?
sugar.
Yeah, correct. And prostaglandins, what they do, they stimulate the uterine contraction for the sperm movement, and clotting protein forms a temporary clot after ejaculation. And the next gland is bulbourethral Copper's gland. What they do is they secrete a mucus and an alkaline fluid into the urethra, and after that this mucus helps in the lubrication and neutralizes the urinary acid if it's present in urethra, and they are situated beneath the bladder and behind the urethra. And the next is external genitalia, that is the penis. It is a exhalatory copulatory organ in males, and near the tip of the penis a spongy tissues that is known as corpus spongiosum is enlarged to form a soft and a highly sensitive gland penis covered with a foreskin. Okay, and the next is the female reproductive system. Same like males, we also have a female, primary and a secondary. The first one, primary, includes the ovaries, and these produce female gametes and several steroid hormones, that is nothing but ovarian hormones, and the hormones are in what shaped? Almond shaped. Where is the ovary? Okay, ovary is not given here. It is a almond shape lying in the lower part of the abdomen, held to the broad ligament of double folds of peritoneum called mesovarium. And whereas in the secondary sex organs, it includes accessory ducts. In accessory ducts, fallopian tube. What is a fallopian tube? Where is it?
Connected to muscle.
Yeah, connected to muscle. Okay, where it is located? Where is fallopian tubes? Abdominal region. Near the kidneys, they are near the kidneys, okay. Okay, and it has two small tubes, length about 10 to 12 centimeter, lying on either side of the uterus near the kidney, and these carry the egg from the ovary to the uterus and provides the environment for its fertilization. And the next part is ampulla. Okay, this is ampulla. See the bracketed one. It is a long, wide, thin wall of the fallopian tube next to infundibulum where fertilization takes place. And then next is uterine part, which passes out the uterine wall and communicates with the uterine cavity. And uterus nothing but the womb. It is about 7.5 centimeter long and 5 centimeter width, and like an inverted pear shape, and it is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic wall. Okay, which is uterus here? Oh, sorry, this one. Okay, this one is uterus. And the next is outer perimetrium, and it is a thin membrane covering the uterus wall. The uterus wall is covered by the what? Outer perimeter. Yes, and the middle myometrium, it is a smooth muscle fiber which contracts strongly during the delivery of the baby. What is that? Middle myometrium. And another is inner endometrium. It is a granular layer with many blood vessels, and it undergoes cyclic changes during menstrual cycle. And the next is last is vagina. It is about 10 centimeter long and acts as a receptacle for the penis during what? Copulation, allows the passage for menstrual flow and the birth canal during parturition. It opens to the exterior by an aperture called vaginal orifice. And the next is mammary glands. These are paired structures functional in the female mammals only, and these are rounded paired structures located over the pectoral muscles on the front wall of the thorax, and each breast in its middle has a nipple surrounded by a circular pigmented area called what? Areola. Okay, and it contains a granular tissues and variable amount of fat inside it, and the cells of the alveoli secretes milk, and then which is stored in the cavities or lumens of alveoli, and the tubules of each lobule join to form a mammary duct, and just under the nipples the lactiferous ducts are present, which gets widened to form a lactiferous sinuses to store milk during lactation. And the last one is external genitalia, that is monopubis. It is the anterior most structure of a vulva and is covered with the skin and a pubic hairs. And the next is two longitudinal folds of tissues are called as labia majora, form the boundary of the vulva. And clitoris, it is the smallest erectile organ which lies at the upper junction of labia minora above the urethral opening, and then hymen, it is a vaginal orifice, is normally covered by a membrane called hymen. Okay, and the next one is gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis? Gametogenesis. Okay, but
Two gametes fuses together.
okay, kind of correct. Yeah, what happens is the process of formation of haploid gametes from the undifferentiated diploid cells in the form of sexual reproduction is called as gametogenesis. And gametogenesis in human beings of two types. One is what, and tell me the two types.
Spermatogenesis, gametegenesis.
Yes, okay, correct. Spermatogenesis is in male and oogenesis in
Female.
okay. Now let us see about spermatogenesis. There are 4 stages. The first one is multiplication, growth and maturation, and last one is the spermatogenesis phase, nothing but differentiation phase. Okay, what happens in multiplication phase?
It multiple itself.
Yeah, okay. Let us see. This is a multiplication phase. What happens here? The spermatogonia, it is an undifferentiated germ cells form into a multiply and form into a spermatogonia, and that is a multiplication phase. They multiply and be there. And the next is growth. What they do, the spermatogonia slowly forms into a primary spermatocyte, like in the presence of mitotic cell division. Okay, and then primary spermatocyte is happened in the growth phase, and after that there will be a granulous layers covering the primary spermatocyte. They are called as primary follicular. Okay, primary spermatocyte la cover pandra layer, granulous layer known as primary follicular. And the primary follicular apparama again so many layers will be forming again to form a secondary follicular stage. Okay, secondary follicular, and after that the first maturation division occurs, which results in the maturation, that is the secondary spermatocytes which was in before stage, that is as secondary what? Follicular, yeah, correct. Secondary follicular turns into a secondary spermatocyte, that is which is haploid. Okay, and after that the secondary spermatocytes are converted, they are moved to next stage, that is spermits, and spermits into that is spermatogenesis. The last stage is spermatogenesis, is called as sperm. Okay. Okay, what are the 4 stages?
Multiplication, growth phase, maturation phase.
Differentiation. Okay, what happens in multiplication phase?
Multiple cells are undifferentiated cells are multiple.
Yes, to form that is spermatogonia. Undifferential nothing but spermatogonia. And the next step, what happens in growth phase?
The one of the spermatogonia
Differentiates to form primary
spermatocyte.
okay,
Without
mitotic division. Okay, and the next maturation phase, what they do?
The formed primary spermatocyte again undergoes a
Meiotic. First la vandu mitotic, now it is meiotic. Meiotic cell division.
and forms a 4 spermatics.
Secondary spermatocyte. And the secondary spermatocytes are 4 spermits. Okay. First mitotic, கீழ தான் meiotic. Meiotic. Mitotic, meiotic. Mitotic. அடுத்து நடக்குது meiotic. சரி, இந்த differentiation phaseல என்ன நடக்கும்னா, the last வந்து spermatogenesis ஆயிட்ட இல்ல, and the sperm head goes and embedded into the serotolized cells. Okay, serotolized cells otherwise known as what? Yes, correct. Okay, and this process is called as spermiation. Okay, last differentiation phaseல என்ன நடக்கும்? The head, sperm head வந்து, yes, and the process known as? Yes, okay. Okay, now let us see what are the organs in spermatogenesis. Okay, the first one is follicle stimulating hormone. What is that to do? It informs the spermatogenic cells to produce the testosterone, which stimulates the spermatogenesis. Okay, another is luteinizing hormone. Introduction of luteinizing results in the testosterone being released and triggering the spermatogenesis. Another is testosterone. It is a hormone which controls the regulation of follicular stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. What happens when the sperm count is high? What happens? FSH வந்து restrict ஆயிடும், release கம்மி ஆயிடும், block ஆயிடும். If it is very low, there will be a continuous release of FSH. And FSH and LH are both, found in both males and females. However, they play a larger role within the production of the ova. Okay, now let us see the structure of a human sperm. Okay. Okay, it is divided into 4 parts. Okay, the first one is head, neck, middle piece and tail. And the head part includes this nucleus, and the top of nucleus there is a hydrolytic enzyme called acrosome. Okay, appo nucleus oda head la, at the top of the nucleus, and then middle neck, as usual neck is there. Middle piece vandu it is called as a what? Middle piece is otherwise known as what? Powerhouse of, yeah, that is mitochondria part, that is in spiral shape. Another is the tail. Tail enna pannu? Okay, what is the function of tail?
For movement.
Yes, for movement, like it will vibrate and move and reach the egg. And this neck contains 2 centrioles. Okay, it's not given here actually. 2 centrioles name. One is proximal centriole, another is wait a minute, proximal centriole. Okay, the one is proximal centrioles, another is distal centrioles. It contains 2 centrioles. Proximal enna panna plays a key role in the first cleavage of the zygote. Okay, helps in what? Cleavage of the gametes, zygote, sorry. Zygote. Distal, it gives rise to the axial filament of the sperm. Axial filament. Okay, distal centrioles.
Rise to the axial
filament of the sperm. Sperm, it is a tadpole in structure. Okay, and what is the function of, not function, okay, which is a hydrolytic enzyme?
acrosome.
Yes, okay, correct. Which possesses the mitochondria, like which part?
Middle part.
And known as what?
Powerhouse of cells. Mitochondria வந்து powerhouse of sperm.
Yes, ஆனால் இந்த ஸ்பெர்மில் எப்படி ஸ்பெல்னு வராதுல்ல?
Powerhouse of sperm தானே?
இல்லை. ஆமாம். Okay. Next we will see about oogenesis. Oogenesis also it is 3 phase, that is multiplication, growth and maturation phase. இப்போ என்ன ஆகுனா what is oogenesis? I forgot to ask you people. Formation of mature female gamete, okay, called as oogenesis. Okay, now let us see first the structure of the ovum. Actually it is a round in shape and it is non-motile. Non-motile means, what is non-motile?
Not movement.
Yeah, and whereas sperm, what it does?
Motile.
So it is motile. This is a non-motile which contains a nucleus in the middle and the body, and it also contains a first polar body, that is a yellow color part, and which is covered by a zona pellucida. It is a jelly coat, and it also have a corona radiata, that is follicular cells surrounded by the ovum. Okay. Okay. Before this oogonium, all these undifferentiated epithelium cells undergo a mitotic cell division and forms a oogonium, that is known as oogonia or mother cells, and after that it goes again mitosis and forms a additional 2 oogonia, and then after that the growth phase, what happens, the oogonia is it forms a primary oocyte, and then again in meiosis 1, meiosis, that is first it is mitosis and it is meiosis 1. What it does, it forms 2 things. One is the big part, that is secondary oocyte, another a tiny part called as first polar body. And in the time when there is fertilization, like the sperm enters into the secondary oocyte, and then the ovum becomes mature, and which leads to a zygote formation. If there is no fertilization occurs, what does it do? All the cells degenerate. So there will be no formation of the zygote. When there is no fertilization, I am telling. நீ என்ன சொன்ன? இல்ல சொல்லு. Second polar, that is if there is no no fertilization. Okay. Okay. And the next is menstrual cycle. What is menstrual cycle? Okay.
Reproductive cycle.
Okay. First menstruation begins at the puberty. And what is that first beginning called as? Menarche. Okay. When it ends after 50 age, it is called as menopause. And the average days of menstrual cycle is up to? Yes, and the average interval means how many days interval?
28.
Yes, 28 to 29 days. Okay. There are 4 phases, and the first phase is menstrual phase, follicular, ovulation and luteal phase. And the first is menstrual phase. It takes up to how many days? 3 to 5 days. What happens here? I want you people to tell. What happens here?
Autolysis takes place.
If there is no fertilization. Yeah, autolysis takes place, and then what happens?
FSH and LH are low.
Yes. Okay.
Of corpus luteum.
Yes. Okay. Adinala enna agum? Progesterone will fall. Okay, and that is the first phase. And next the follicular phase. Idu how many days it takes place? Yes, 14 days. What happens here?
Graphian follicle.
Graphican follicle in the phase layer.
FSH and LH வந்து medium increase.
First வந்து அந்த என்ன follicular phaseல என்ன ஆகும்? Primary follicular வந்து mature ஆயிட்டு என்ன ஆகும்? என்ன mature? Graphican follicle, that is first. And next is what? FSH change in the, அதனால வந்து there will be a change in the ovary and what? Uterus, which results in?
Due to LH and FH increases.
Yes, okay. அப்ப அந்த decrease ஆகறனால there will be changes in the uterus and the
Ovary.
yes, and then
Ovulation phase.
okay, what happens in ovulation phase?
FSH, LH வந்து increase ஆகும்.
There will be in a peak high. Okay, and then அதனால
Graphian follicle வந்து
correct. Yes. Okay, எந்த டேல நடக்கும் சொல்ல நீங்க?
அது 14th day.
14th day. Yeah, okay. Graphican follicle வந்து they'll rupture, and what happens?
Endometrium strong and form ஆகி endometrium strong.
Okay, அது ஆயிட்டு அது பேர் இந்த phase பேர் known as ovulation phase. Okay, and the next is luteal phaseல என்ன ஆகும்? Remaining Graphican follicle என்ன ஆகும்? Rupture ஆயிருக்கு. அப்போ அந்த மீதி remaining Graphican follicle, what happens here? First அந்த Graphican follicle mature ஆனது வந்து rupture ஆயிடுச்சு. அந்த rupture ஆனதுல இருந்து remaining இருந்த progesterone வந்து they maintains the what? Maintains yes, endometrium. அப்புறம் what? secrete ஆயிட்டு புரியல. அதுக்கப்புறம்
LH வந்து
ஓகே லாஸ்ட் ஃபேஸில் வந்து அந்த இந்த ஓவிலேஷன் ஃபேஸில் வாட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் த கிராஃபிகன் ஃபாலிக்கிள் பர்ஸ்ட் அந்த இருக்க மீதியில் இருக்க ப்ரொஜெஸ்டரான் இருக்கும்ல they'll be maintaining helpful in maintaining the endometrium. அதுக்கப்புறம் there will be a what LHம் FHம் என்னவா இருக்கும் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகிடும். அவ்வளோதான் வந்து முடிஞ்சிட்டு. இப்போ திருப்பியும் அந்த menstrual cycle திருப்பியிலேருந்து வரும். if there is pregnancy in case there will be absence of menstruation. okay ஓகே ஃபர்ஸ்ட்லேருந்து யாருன்னா கரெக்டாக சொல்லுங்க. சொல்லு.
மென்சுரல் ஃபேஸ் வந்து ஆட்டோலைசிஸ் நடக்கும்.
ஓகே
அதுக்கப்புறம் FSHம் LH ரொம்ப லோ, ப்ரொஜெஸ்டரான் எல்லாமே ரொம்ப லோவாக இருக்கும்.
ஓகே அதனால என்ன ஆகும்? ரெக்ரேஷன் ஆஃப் கார்பஸ் லியூட்டியம். ஓகே இது முடிஞ்சிட்டு செகண்ட் ஃபேஸ் ஃபாலிகுலர் ஃபேஸில்
அது 14 டேஸ் நடக்கும்.
ஓகே
இதுல வந்து
பிரைமரி ஃபாலிகுலர் வந்து okay there will be changes in uterus and due to what?
Due to the increase of FSH and LH.
okay அப்புறம்
then ovulation phase ல வந்து graphene follicle FSH and LH increase at peak. so the
எப்போ நடக்கும் இது ovulation phase?
14 days. so that the graphene follicle
இப்போ rapid secretion of LH leads to LH surge. okay and then அப்போ இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகிட்ட பிறகு ஓகே ரப்சர் ஆகிட்டு என்ன ஆகும்? ரிலீஸ் ஆஃப் ஓவம். ஓகே யா கரெக்ட். transfers into progesterone. அந்த progesterone தான் helps in maintaining the endometrium. அப்புறம் again what happens, the LH secretes a large amount of progesterone. ஏன்னா progesterone அடுத்த ஃபேஸ்ல இருந்து டிக்ரீஸ் ஆயிடும் இல்ல, சோ அதுக்கு இருந்தா தான அது ஆகும். ஓகே okay and the next is fertilization. what is fertilization? yes okay and there are different steps. first what happens is the sperms make the contact with the egg and this is a sperm and first வந்து எது enter ஆகும் ஓவம்க்குள்ள? yes head nothing but acrosome. It is a hydrolytic enzyme, so it enters it is a hydrolytic enzyme, so it enters easily. That is the zona pellucidata. what is that? outer layer of the yes okay after that acrosome reacts with a perivitellin line space. this is the perivitellin space. okay and these are the protein receptors which covers the ovum and next stage enna agum plasma membrane of sperm and the egg fuse. appo plasma membrane sperm la irukka plasma membrane fuses with the egg. okay and then sperm nucleus enters the idu nucleus na what? it is below what? where is nucleus located in sperm? head below acrosome க்கு கீழ இருக்குறதா nucleus. okay சரி அப்போ sperm nucleus enters into the enters into the egg and the last என்ன ஆகும்? the cortical granules fuse with the egg plasma membrane which renders the vitelline layer impenetrable to the இது last they will reach it. okay okay and the next is the embryonic development. okay first day வந்து it is fertilized which contains the zona pellucidata, that is the outer layer of the ovum and then a pronuclei and a polar body. on the third day that it convert and that is formed into 8 cell zygote. first வந்து 2 4 அப்புறம் 8 தாக்கும். okay 2 4 8 and then after a cell adhesion, that is all the cells are in tight junction which forms the 16 cell morula. it is called as 16 cell morula on the fourth day, which also contains a inner cell. and then the next formation will be a blastocyte. What is the where is blastocyte actually?
surrounding yellow.
yes that is that and the inner mass, that red color is the inner mass. and the next 6th day what happens? zona hatching na enna and idella vandu hatch aittu veliya varudhu. okay the zona pellucidal la irundhu veliya varudhu. okay and then the invades the, which reaches the uterine wall and invades the uterine wall, it goes inside the uterine wall, and the next 9th day what happens, the cell mass differentiate, and the mass differentiates into various cells like epiblast, hypoblast and tropoblast, and the next is they form a bilaminar disc forms, like that is one is, see, 2 disc has formed, 2 disc, that is bilaminar disc, and then the 14th day what happens is there will be a primitive streak, like see, this is a primitive streak like mesoderm and endoderm, and the next is mesoderm separates, and there is a red color the mesoderm, right, it gets separated, and like amniotic sac, and then tropoectoderm, mesoderm and a yolk sac, and the next last is amniotic sac grows. This is the umbilical cord, chorion, amnion, embryo and the digestive tract. Okay. 23rd day la edu form agum, digestive tract. Okay. Okay. And the first day 4 varaikum like 16 cell monomer, this process called as cleavage. Cleavage, and the 16 agara varaikum the process is called as cleavage process. Adukapram in the morula there forms a blastocyte called, this process known as blastulation. Blastulation, this process called as blastulation. Okay. Now let us see the changes during pregnancy. What are the changes means, after implantation a finger-like projection appears on the trophoblast called a chorionic villi, and which are surrounded by a uterine tissue and a maternal blood, and this chorionic villi and the uterine tissue become interdigited with each other and jointly form a structural and a functional unit, that is between fetus and a maternal body called placenta. Okay, and let us see what is a placenta. It is a feto-maternal organ, baby kum mother kum connect pandra organ, that is placenta, and it has 2 components, one is fetal part and maternal part. Fetal is nothing but developed from the chorionic sac, that is from the that is baby, and the maternal is from the endometrium, and the placenta and the umbilical cords are the transport system for the substance between the mother and the fetus. And now let us see the functions of placenta. It's like giving protection, nutrition, respiration, excretion and hormonal production. Okay, now let us see gastrulation. What is gastrulation? What is gastrulation? Not implantation. Yes, the form of the transformation of blastocyte into 3 layers is called as gastrulation. What are the 3 parts means? Yes, trophoblast. Yeah, that's all. That is 3. Okay, what happens? First one, the inner mass cell zoom, trophoblast only. It is, trophoblast is the outer layer of that, and that is the inner cells, and which contains or stage there forms a amniotic cavity, and that becomes amniotic cavity kullara it will come ectoderm, and then formation of the extra embryonic membrane, that is, what is that? This is endoderm. Ectoderm na adu, endoderm na the veliya irukku. This part is called ectoderm, and last time it is divided into only 2 parts, that is 3 parts, sorry. Mesoderm, this is ectoderm, and this is what? Primitive streak. So it is a 3-layered form structure. Okay. Now let us see the changes in embryo. In human, how many months the pregnancy will be there? 9 Yes. Okay, after the cast of 9 months, after 1 month of the pregnancy, fetus heart is formed. Fetus heart is formed only after the 1 month, and then the sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart of the fetus through what? Stethoscope. And then by the end of the 2nd month, what happens? The limbs also develops with, and by the 12 weeks, major organs and the external genita will be developed. And the first movement of the fetus and appearance of the air can be observed during the 5th month only, and then by the end of 24th week, that is second trimester, the body is covered with fine hair, eyelids get separated and the eyelashes are formed, and by last, that is 9th month of the pregnancy, the fetus will be fully developed to deliver. And paturation, what is paturation? Yeah, the process of giving birth is known as paturation. It induced by the complex neuroendocrine mechanism, and the signals of paturation originate from the developed fetus and the placenta. The signal is from where? Fetus and the placenta, which induces the mild contraction. When there is only the uterine contraction, there will be the, it will be the time to deliver the baby. So that which induces the uterine contraction? Which induces the uterine contraction? Yes, what, correct? Yes, and mild uterine contraction called the what? Fetal ejection reflex. That contraction is known as fetal ejection reflex, and this triggers the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary gland. Okay, what is maternal here? Maternal, it's from mother. Okay, maternal, it's from mother, and the stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and the oxytocin secretion continues resulting in the stronger contractions. Soon after the birth of the baby, the placenta is expelled out of the uterus, and relaxin hormone relaxes the pelvic ligaments of the mother to prepare for the childbirth. Okay, what is lactation then? Lactation, yes. Yeah, first milk. Okay, yeah. The production and the release of the milk by the mammary glands of the female after the delivery of the young one is called as lactation, and the first milk which comes out from the mother is called as what? Colostrum. Yeah, the first milk is called as colostrum, and it's very rich in proteins and along with antibodies that provide a passive immunity to the newborn. And the first milk which is rich in what?
Passive immunity.
And then proteins which give immune to the newborn. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, after the break, we will be seeing the next chapter.